The artificial dawn cycle of Meridian Station painted soft light across the residential quarters as Iris Vale began her daily routine. At 27, she'd perfected the art of moving through spaces without drawing attention, a skill essential for someone in her position. She'd been the live-in nanny to Governor Callum Drake's twin children for 10 months, and in that time, she'd become a shadow in his household, noticed only when needed. Iris had taken this job out of desperation after her art gallery failed spectacularly on Earth. The dream of supporting herself through her paintings had crumbled along with her savings, leaving her with crushing debt and few options. When the agency offered her a position caring for the governor's 6-year-old twins on a prestigious space station, she'd accepted without hesitation. Pride was a luxury she couldn't afford. She dressed in her standard uniform, a simple gray tunic and pants that made her blend into the background. Her auburn hair was pulled into a practical braid, her makeup minimal. The goal was to be professional, unremarkable, forgettable. In 10 months working for the Drake family, she'd perfected invisibility. The governor's quarters were massive, occupying an entire level of the station's central tower. Iris made her way through the elegant corridors to wake twins Maya and Connor. Their room was decorated with star maps and planets, reflecting their fascination with the galaxy surrounding them. "Good morning, starlings," Iris said softly, opening the curtains to reveal the cosmos beyond. Maya stirred first, her dark curls tangled across the pillow. "Iris. You're here. Where else would I be?" Iris laughed, sitting on the edge of the bed. Connor woke moments later, and both children threw themselves into her arms. These precious moments made everything else bearable, the loneliness, the long hours, the feeling of being invisible to everyone except these two beautiful souls. She helped them dress, braided Maya's hair, and took them to the dining area for breakfast. They chatted excitedly about their upcoming field trip to the station's botanical dome while Iris listened with genuine interest. Governor Callum Drake appeared briefly, immaculate in his formal uniform. He was tall and commanding, with dark hair touched with silver at the temples and steel-gray eyes that seemed to see everything except her. He kissed each child on the forehead without breaking stride. Busy day. Council meetings until late, he announced to no one in particular, his attention already on his datapad. Iris caught a glimpse of him before he disappeared, the sharp line of his jaw, the way his uniform emphasized his broad shoulders. She hated that she noticed these things, hated the flutter in her stomach when he was near. It was pointless. To a man like him, running an entire space station and managing interstellar politics, she was just another employee, easily replaced and hardly worth noticing. The morning passed in its usual rhythm. Educational games, reading time, a walk through the station's recreation level. After lunch, the twins went to their rest period, giving Iris a rare break. She returned to her small quarters adjacent to the main residence to change clothes, planning to finally work on a painting she'd been sketching. She'd just pulled her uniform tunic over her head when the door suddenly opened. Iris froze, standing in only her bra and simple pants, her heart stopping as Governor Callum Drake stood in the doorway. He'd been looking down at his datapad, clearly distracted, and had walked into the wrong room. The storage area he'd been seeking had been relocated during recent renovations. Time seemed to fracture. His eyes lifted from the screen and locked onto her. Iris watched his expression shift from confusion to recognition to something else entirely, something that made heat flood through her body despite the cool recycled air. For 3 heartbeats, neither of them moved. Callum's gaze traveled across her exposed skin, the curve of her waist, the freckles scattered across her shoulders, the rapid rise and fall of her breathing. His jaw tightened, and Iris saw something flicker in those gray eyes, something raw and immediate that she'd never seen directed at her before. "I'm so sorry," he finally managed, his voice rougher than usual. "Wrong room. Storage was moved, and I forgot." Iris grabbed her spare tunic from the nearby chair, clutching it to her chest. Her face burned with mortification. "It's fine, Governor Drake. An honest mistake." But he didn't leave immediately. He stood there another moment, and Iris felt the air between them shift, charging with an energy that made her breath catch. She'd been invisible to this man for 10 months, and now he was looking at her like he was truly seeing her for the first time. "I should go," Callum said, but his feet seemed reluctant to move. "Yes," Iris whispered, unable to manage more than that single word. He stepped back and closed the door, leaving her alone and trembling. Iris sank onto her bed, her heart racing so fast she felt dizzy. What had just happened? That look in his eyes, it had ignited something in her she knew was dangerous, something that could destroy the carefully balanced life she'd built here. Over the following days, everything changed in subtle but undeniable ways. Callum no longer rushed past her without acknowledgement. Now he stopped, asked how the children were progressing in their studies, commented on the station's current operations. His eyes would linger just a moment too long, and Iris found herself hyper-aware of his presence, her skin prickling whenever he entered a room. She noticed details she'd forced herself to ignore before, the way he rolled up his sleeves when working late in his office, the rare genuine smile that transformed his serious face when the twins made him laugh, the kindness in his voice when he spoke to station workers others dismissed. One morning, she found him in the kitchen area making coffee before dawn. They were alone, the household still sleeping around them. "You're up early," he observed, handing her a cup without asking if she wanted one. "The twins have zero-gravity training today. I like to prepare ahead." Iris wrapped her hands around the warm mug, grateful for something to hold. Callum leaned against the counter, studying her with an intensity that made her nervous. "How long have you been with us now?" 10 months. 10 months, he repeated quietly. "And I feel like I'm only just now seeing you." Iris's pulse quickened. "Governor Drake." "Callum," he corrected. "Please, call me Callum." Before she could respond, footsteps echoed in the corridor. They stepped apart instinctively as Helena Frost swept into the kitchen, Callum's fiancée and everything Iris could never be. Tall, elegant, with platinum blonde hair styled in the latest fashion and the kind of cold beauty that came from generations of selective breeding among station elite. Helena's ice blue eyes barely registered Iris's presence. "Darling, we need to finalize the wedding venue today. The observation deck is holding our date, but they need confirmation." Callum's expression closed off, becoming the distant governor once more. "I have critical meetings all day. The transport negotiations. Cancel them." Helena's tone allowed no argument. "This is important. Our marriage secures the alliance with the outer colonies. That's more important than your schedule." Iris excused herself quietly, returning to her invisibility. But as she left, she felt Callum's eyes on her back, and she knew with absolute certainty that something fundamental had shifted between them. The accidental encounter had cracked open a door that neither of them could close again, and Iris had no idea where that would lead. All she knew was that her heart was no longer her own, and that terrified her more than anything in her carefully controlled life. She was falling for a man she could never have, a powerful governor engaged to a woman from his own world. And somehow, impossibly, he was beginning to see her not as the invisible nanny, but as a woman. That realization was both thrilling and devastating, because Iris knew that nothing good could come from this dangerous attraction. But try as she might, she couldn't stop her heart from hoping for something she had no right to want. 3 weeks after the accidental encounter, Iris stood in the station's medical bay with the twins, waiting for their routine checkup. Maya bounced excitedly while Connor studied a holographic display of the human circulatory system with intense focus. Both children were brilliant and curious, constantly asking questions that challenged Iris to research answers. The door opened to reveal Dr. Lissa Varon, the station's chief pediatric physician. Her purple skin shimmered under the medical lights, marking her as Valorian, one of the telepathic species known for their healing abilities. She wore medical whites that contrasted beautifully with her violet eyes, and her smile was warm as she greeted the children. "My favorite patients," Dr. Lissa said in her melodic accent. Let me guess, Connor wants to discuss anatomy, and Maya wants to know if we've discovered any new planets this week. Both children laughed, confirming her assessment. Over the next hour, Dr. Lissa conducted their examinations with practiced efficiency, all while engaging them in conversation that made the medical procedures feel like adventures. After the twins were cleared and sent to play in the waiting area under the supervision of a nurse, Dr. Lissa gestured for Iris to stay. "We need to talk," the Valorian said quietly, her expression serious. "About Governor Drake." Iris felt her stomach drop. "I don't know what you mean. Please don't insult my intelligence." Dr. Lissa's violet eyes were kind but knowing. "I'm partially telepathic, remember? I can't read specific thoughts, but I sense emotional resonance. The tension between you and the governor is so strong I felt it from across the medical bay when he brought the children last week." Iris sank into a chair, all pretense crumbling. "Nothing has happened. Nothing will happen. He's engaged to Helena. A political arrangement he despises," Dr. Lissa said, sitting beside her. "I've known Callum for 5 years. I've watched him become increasingly hollow, sacrificing personal happiness for station stability. But lately, something's changed. He smiles more. He's more present with his children. And he watches you like you're the first real thing he's seen in years. It doesn't matter what he feels or what I feel," Iris said, tears threatening. "Helena is from his world. I'm nobody, a failed artist working as a nanny. The scandal alone would destroy his political position." Dr. Lissa was quiet for a moment. "On my homeworld, we have a saying, the heart recognizes truth before the mind accepts it. You and Callum have found something rare. But Iris, you need to understand the danger. Helena Frost is not just cold, she's calculating. If she perceives you as a threat, she'll destroy you without hesitation." "Then I'll resign," Iris said. "I'll leave before it becomes a problem. And break the twins' hearts? They love you. You're more of a mother to them than their biological mother ever was before she died." Dr. Lissa's expression softened. "I'm not telling you to leave. I'm telling you to be careful. And to be honest with yourself about what you want." What Iris wanted seemed impossible, but over the following weeks, the situation became increasingly complicated. Helena's visits to the governor's quarters increased, and her treatment of Iris shifted from dismissive to openly hostile. "The children are undisciplined," Helena announced one afternoon, finding Iris and the twins painting murals in the art room. "They need structure, not play." "They're 6 years old," Iris replied gently. "Creative expression is part of their development." Helena's eyes narrowed. "I wasn't asking your opinion. You're just the help. Remember your place." Maya's lower lip trembled. Connor grabbed Iris's hand protectively. Before Iris could respond, Callum appeared in the doorway, his expression thunderous. "Helena, my office. Now." His tone was ice. They disappeared down the corridor, raised voices echoing through the quarters. When Helena emerged 20 minutes later, her face was flushed with fury. She shot Iris a look of pure venom before storming out. That evening, after the twins were asleep, Iris found Callum on the observation deck overlooking the station's main docking bay. Stars stretched endlessly beyond the viewport, and Earth hung in the distance like a blue jewel. "You shouldn't have defended me," Iris said softly, stepping onto the deck. "It only makes things harder." Callum turned to face her, his gray eyes intense in the dim lighting. "She had no right to speak to you that way. No right to upset my children. She's going to be their stepmother," Iris said quietly. "I'm just the nanny." "Stop saying that." Callum moved closer, and Iris's breath caught. "You're not just anything, Iris." The way he said her name sent shivers down her spine. She'd heard it thousands of times from the twins, but never like this. Never weighted with such meaning. "Governor Drake, we can't. Callum, he corrected for what felt like the 100th time. And can't what? Talk? Is conversation forbidden now? You know what I mean. Iris wrapped her arms around herself. Whatever this is between us, it's wrong. You're engaged. To a woman I don't love, Callum said, the admission hanging between them. I never loved her. It was an arrangement, a merger of political families to secure the Outer Colony alliance. I thought it was enough. I thought I could live that way. And now? The question escaped before Iris could stop it. Callum reached out, his fingers barely grazing her cheek. The touch was feather-light, but it ignited every nerve ending in her body. Now I can't stop thinking about a woman who makes my children laugh, who treats everyone with kindness, who blushes when she thinks no one is watching. Iris closed her eyes, fighting the pull toward him. I have nothing, Callum. No family, no status, no money. Your world and mine, they don't mix. I don't care about any of that. But everyone else will. Helena, your political allies, the station council, they'll destroy me. They'll say I'm using you, that I seduced you, that I'm not good enough. You're wrong, Callum said, his thumb tracing her jawline. You're better than all of them combined. You have more genuine warmth and grace than anyone I've ever known. A tear slipped down Iris's cheek. This is impossible. Nothing is impossible. He leaned closer, his breath warm against her skin. Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me I'm alone in this, and I'll walk away right now. I'll maintain proper distance. I'll treat you as nothing more than my children's caretaker. Iris opened her eyes, meeting his gaze directly. She saw vulnerability there, hope, desire, and something deeper that made her heart ache. I can't tell you that, she whispered. Because it would be a lie. The confession broke whatever restraint had held them apart. Callum cupped her face in both hands and kissed her with a tenderness that made Iris's knees weak. She melted into him, her hands clutching his shirt, 10 months of suppressed longing pouring into that single kiss. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. Callum rested his forehead against hers. I'm ending the engagement. Don't make impulsive decisions, Iris said, though her heart sang at the words. Think about the political consequences. I've been thinking for weeks, Callum interrupted. Every day that passes, I'm more certain. I can't marry Helena. I can't spend my life in a loveless arrangement when I've finally found something real. Over the next month, they existed in a strange limbo. Callum worked to untangle the political complications of breaking his engagement while he and Iris stole moments together whenever possible. Late-night conversations after the household slept, accidental touches that lingered, shared smiles across crowded rooms. But Helena grew increasingly suspicious. She criticized everything Iris did, tried to turn the children against her, spread subtle poison wherever she went. The tension built until something had to break. 3 months after that first kiss, the breaking point came in the form of a station emergency. A coolant leak in one of the outer sectors required immediate evacuation and repair. Callum was coordinating the response from the operations center while Iris sheltered with the twins in the designated safe zone. The all-clear came at midnight, but sections of the station remained on lockdown pending final safety checks. Iris got the twins settled back in their quarters, both children exhausted from the excitement and fear of the emergency. Is Daddy okay? Maya asked sleepily as Iris tucked her in. He's fine, starling. He's making sure everyone stays safe. He's a hero, Connor murmured, already half asleep. After ensuring they were settled, Iris returned to her quarters, only to find Callum waiting in the corridor, looking exhausted and stressed. His uniform was rumpled, his hair disheveled, and there were shadows under his eyes. The sector's sealed for the night, he said. My quarters are on the other side. I can't get back until morning. You can stay in the guest room, Iris said, her pulse quickening at having him so close. It's right next to the twins. But when they reached the guest room, they discovered it had been affected by the coolant leak. The environmental controls weren't functioning, making it too cold to occupy. "You take my room," Iris said. "I'll sleep on the couch in the common area." "Absolutely not." Callum's tone was firm. "I'll take the couch. You've been coordinating emergency response for 8 hours. You need proper rest." They stood in the corridor, both stubborn, until Callum said quietly, "Your room is big enough for both of us. We're adults. We can share space without." He stopped, the unspoken words hanging between them. Iris knew it was a terrible idea. But she was tired of fighting, tired of pretending, tired of the careful distance they'd maintained. "Okay," she whispered. Her quarters were small but comfortable, a bedroom with an attached sitting area and bathroom. Callum insisted she take the bed while he took the small sofa, but it was immediately clear he wouldn't fit comfortably. "This is ridiculous," Iris said finally. "The bed is big enough for both of us. We'll stay on our own sides." They lay in the darkness, carefully maintaining space between them, but Iris was hyper-aware of every breath Callum took, every small movement. The silence stretched, heavy with everything they weren't saying. "I can't do this anymore," Callum said finally, his voice rough in the darkness. "I can't pretend I don't want you. I can't marry Helena knowing I'll spend the rest of my life wishing it was you beside me." Iris turned toward him, her heart racing. "Callum. I'm ending it tomorrow. Formally, publicly. I don't care about the political fallout or what the council thinks. I've lived my entire life doing what was expected, being who everyone needed me to be. But for once, I want to choose what I want. And I want you, Iris. If you'll have me." "The scandal will be enormous," Iris whispered. "The governor leaving his fiancée for the nanny, they'll crucify us both. Then we'll face it together." Callum moved closer, his hand finding hers in the darkness. "I love you. I think I've loved you since that morning I walked into your room and really saw you for the first time. Maybe even before that, if I'm honest with myself." Iris felt tears streaming down her face. "I love you too. I've tried so hard not to, but I do." They came together in the darkness, the kiss desperate and claiming. Callum pulled her against him, and Iris surrendered to what she'd been fighting for months. Their hands explored with growing urgency, clothes falling away as the last barriers between them dissolved. "Are you sure?" Callum asked, his voice strained with desire and restraint. "Once we cross this line." "I'm sure," Iris said. "I've never been more sure of anything." What followed was passionate and overwhelming, both of them pouring months of suppressed desire into every touch. When morning light finally filtered through the viewport, they lay tangled together, both knowing there was no going back. "No regrets?" Callum asked, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. "Not a single one," Iris replied, though fear fluttered in her stomach. They'd crossed an irreversible line, and the consequences would be severe. As if summoning trouble through thought alone, Iris's communication device buzzed with an urgent message. It was from Dr. Lissa. "Helena knows. She's on her way to the governor's quarters. Be careful." They barely had time to dress before Helena's voice echoed through the quarters, demanding to see Callum. When he emerged to face her, Iris stayed in her room but could hear every word through the thin walls. "I know what's happening," Helena said, her voice cold with fury. "You've been having an affair with the nanny. Don't bother denying it. I have witnesses who saw you enter her quarters last night and never leave." "The station was on lockdown," Callum replied calmly. "My sector was sealed. There's nothing inappropriate about seeking shelter." "Oh please. Do you think I'm stupid? I've seen the way you look at her. The way you defend her. The way you've been pulling away from me for months." Helena's voice turned vicious. "You're going to regret this, Callum. I'll destroy her reputation. I'll make sure she never works again. And I'll make you look like a fool who threw away a strategic alliance for a nobody." "That's enough," Callum said, his voice deadly quiet. "You're absolutely right about one thing, I have been pulling away. Because I don't love you, Helena. I never did. Our engagement was a mistake, and I'm ending it. Today." The silence that followed was deafening. Then Helena laughed, bitter and cruel. "You're throwing away everything for a servant? The council will never accept this. Your political enemies will use it to remove you from office. Then let them try. I'm done living according to everyone else's expectations. You'll both regret this," Helena promised. "Mark my words, by the time I'm finished, you'll wish you'd never met her." Helena's footsteps receded, and moments later, Callum appeared in Iris's doorway, his expression a mixture of relief and apprehension. "It's done," he said. "For better or worse, it's done." Iris crossed to him, wrapping her arms around his waist. "I'm scared." "So am I. But I'd rather face anything with you than spend another day living a lie." He kissed her forehead. "Dr. Lissa is right, Helena will come after us with everything she has. Are you ready for that?" Iris thought about the twins sleeping peacefully in the next room, about the life she'd built here, about the man she loved standing before her. "As ready as I'll ever be." "Then we face it together," Callum said, pulling her close. "Starting now." Within hours, news of the broken engagement spread through the station like wildfire. Helena wasted no time painting herself as the victim and Iris as a conniving homewrecker. The media coverage was brutal, the gossip relentless, and the political pressure intense. But through it all, Callum stood firm. He held Iris's hand in public, defended her character to anyone who questioned it, and refused to back down despite the mounting consequences. The war had just begun, but for the first time in her life, Iris wasn't facing her battles alone. She had Callum, and somehow, that made even the impossible seem survivable.